Holy crap, guys, this bombshell interview from Mohamed Salah, I'm sure you would have seen it. I mean, it's been shared absolutely all over the place. Saddens me so much. The fact that this crisis situation has gone to where it is now, where clearly, just imagine that bus ride home right now with all the players, how split the team must be between Slot coming out. I mean, I'll read part of the quotes for you, for those of you that might have missed it. He said, quote, "I can't believe I'm sitting on the bench for 90 minutes, the third time on the bench, I think for the first time in my career. I'm very, very disappointed. I've done so much for this club down the years, and especially last season. Now I'm sitting on the bench, and I don't know why. It seems like the club has thrown me under the bus. This is how I'm feeling. I think it's very clear that someone wanted me to get all of the blame. I said many times before that I had a good relationship with the manager, and all of a sudden, we don't have any relationship." Then he says, "After what I've done for the club, it really hurts. You can imagine, really. After going from home to the club, you don't know if you're starting. I know the club too well. I've been here many years. Tomorrow, Jamie Carragher is going to go for me again and again, and that's fine. I've been at this club scoring more than anyone in this generation since I came to the Premier League. I don't think anyone has scored more goals and made more assists than me. In the whole Premier League, if I'm somewhere else, everybody will go to the media and defend the players. I'm the only one in this situation." And then he went on to speak more and more, but I'm sure you would have seen this interview by now because, bro, it's all over the place. And what I hate is I see so many fans online taking sides right now. It's like, are you with Slot? Are you with Salah? I think it's just such a sad situation. I don't want to, I think both, I think Salah, there's part of what he's saying that is correct. What just saddens me so much is this team is in a very difficult situation right now. And I want my leader like Mohamed Salah to not kind of make it worse from a public point of view. Now everybody from the outside can see that there's, clearly the dressing room, a big part of the dressing room is split on Slot and not happy with what's going on, And imagine someone as important of a figure as Mohamed Salah coming out and saying that he doesn't have any relationship with him. Imagine your star player, your player of the season that helped you so much to win that Premier League title. It's just a horrible look. It's a horrible, horrible look, and I don't want to take too much out of the interview either because I think he's speaking purely out of emotion, because this is after, spending the whole time on the bench, and he just he must feel in such a bad way, in terms of disrespect. But what I don't like personally is just I think when you're a Liverpool player, you always have to put the team first. Liverpool Football Club first. And I just don't see how this helps the club. Unless he thinks it's such an emergency situation that Slot needs to be sacked right away and he thinks this helps get Slot sacked. And that's best for Liverpool Football Club. But is he the best person to make that decision when he doesn't know who's supposed to replace Slot? What the short-term and long-term planning for that will be? Did you get what I'm saying? So for me, it has to come back to, is doing something like this the best for Liverpool Football Club? I don't think so. I don't think so. And the other thing too is it's most Liverpool fans were saying he deserved to be benched because he wasn't playing well this season. So I don't think it's that crazy for him to be benched. And I understand the last 3 games we're disappointed to have picked up, 5 points? At least we're not losing in that run. And I'm not saying, I would never say that's solely on Salah. It's so much more complicated than that. But what I mean is, Slot had to make some big decisions. And trust me, there's a lot of decisions I disagree with. Like him continuing to start Cody Gakpo. I think Chiesa, like most of us, absolutely should still start. Trust me, there's many things I disagree with Slot on. But for me, the manager does have a say. No player can be bigger than the football club or the manager, And trust me, I'm saying Slot, there's lots of mistakes in there. But I go back to the icon that is Mohamed Salah. And I want to really think, will this help the club in this moment in time as we play Inter Milan on Tuesday? It does the opposite of that, in my opinion. Like I said, just imagine the bus on the way back towards Liverpool, how tense it would be. What do they even talk about when all of our timelines are bombarded by this interview and what he said, which I think is all out of emotion, which, he has a right to express all of that, like I said, but for me, it still has to always go back is what's best for the football club. And the only way, like I said, that I can imagine him saying this, because it's that big of a deal, given who he is and what he's just said, is that he thinks this can force Slot to be sacked, and he thinks that's best for the club. That's the only thing for me that kind of makes that acceptable, And even that, like I said, I don't think he's the best person positioned for that. Just like many fans that are saying Slot out, I think it's such a tough situation because it's like I've said many times before, it's so easy to just say Slot out, but you don't have any other solutions. Bro, if you don't have any other solutions and people are saying stuff like Stevie G, Areola, and then unrealistic options like Jurgen Klopp or Xabi Alonso, bro, it's not happening. So give me something realistic to get behind. I've heard a lot of people saying Glasner too. I spoke to some Crystal Palace fans and they're saying he could never play possession-based football, that it doesn't work for him. So you have to be realistic. 2 weeks ago, people were saying Areola, and now he's under bad form at Bournemouth, and they're like, oh, maybe not, I wouldn't bring him. Like, make it make sense, And this is what I mean. It's just, for me, more than anything, when I saw this interview, when I listened to it, it just saddened me above all. And I don't want it to be this thing of like, take sides. Because the only side should be what's best for the football club and how do we move forward as a football club? How do we beat Inter Milan on Tuesday? What happens in the long term? How do we get back to where we need to be? So many different questions. And this, in my opinion, just divides the fan base. It divides the team. It puts the manager under more pressure. But do I think he's going to get sacked in the short term? I don't think so, because I don't think there's a solution out there that Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards have found. I'm not so sure about that, like I said, because you look at the options. So I just think it's a very, very complicated, moment. And even though I agree with what some of the things Salah says, and if he's coming out like this, obviously he's been hurt in a major way, but for me, there's emotion and ego speaking there. And listen, we all have ego. He has a right to have ego, bro. What he's delivered this football club is unbelievable, right? But at the same time, our biggest issue in these run of losses has been the fact that we cannot defend. And what I think Slot has been trying to change the last 3 games is trying to set up in a way where we're better defensively. Yes, we conceded 3 today, but had Ibu made that mistake, do you think we would have conceded 3? Because I don't think so. And for me, that's not on Slot. Another basic defensive mistake like that's happening time and time again. And listen, it's just what frustrates me so much is it feels like in all these conversations, there's never any nuance anymore. It's like people are now saying to me, because you're not Slot out, you don't like this football club, or you don't want what's best for this football club. Bro, it doesn't work like that. It's not. It's just like with this situation, everybody's going to be like, are you with Slot or are you with Salah? And if you're with Salah, oh, you're in the wrong for this. If you're with Salah, oh, you're in the wrong for this. Bro, there's nuance. But like I said, for me, it all has to come back to this bigger question of what's best for Liverpool Football Club. And I don't think this helps Liverpool Football Club, because it makes Tuesday, there's so much more pressure on Tuesday now. Because imagine if he starts Salah, for example, everybody's going to say, oh, he succumbed to Salah. Now Slot can't ever drop Salah, because it's gonna make major headlines again, and Salah could come out. Or if he doesn't start him, imagine how much worse it could get. So it's just like no one can win in this situation now here, unless we start winning games again. But like I said, does this help us win games? This coming out, I don't think it does. You know what I mean? And that's personally where I get worried, because already we're in a very difficult situation, and this is the biggest star player coming out and saying something so against the manager, saying that we literally, the quote is, we don't have any relationship. Like, that's crazy for after the relationship they had last season, where he would help get the best out of Mohamed Salah, and it's a two-way thing, right? Salah also helped him with that league title. You best believe he was the most important, but it's also a two-way relationship. And that's why, again, I talk about nuance. I hate when people say it's Mohamed Salah that won in the league title. People say that, right? Many people have said that. I see, especially now with all the talk with Salah. And it's like, oh, okay, so then Gravenberg didn't have an impact. Luis Diaz didn't have an impact. Virgil van Dijk didn't have an impact. if you're saying that, it makes absolutely no sense to me. There's nuance. Yes, Salah was probably the most important player in that title win, but then Slot also had a big part to play in it. Both can be true. You know what I mean? But it's just so sad because clearly they had a great relationship last season for things to go the way that they did. It would have had to for him to have a record-breaking season, and then for it to fall like this, it's so incredibly sad. And now something big is going to happen after a moment like this because, like I said, it's a big deal. It is a big deal, a really big deal, especially considering Salah never comes out. The last time he came out was for the wanting a new contract. So it's a bad position to be in. But please let me know in the comments how you're feeling about this. Where do you think we move from here? What do you think this actually means? How do we try to dissect this? Let me know how you're feeling. And bro, I feel so many contrasting emotions right now. It's hard to even go to sleep. Already we had a crazy 6-goal thriller game against Leeds, and now we have this as a little cherry on top, bro. As if we're supposed to try to go to sleep now, and it's basically midnight where I am at least. So anyways, guys, thank you as always for the support on the channel. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, guys.